Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the OC Hoop Show. I'm Dan Albano, joined by the Hall of Famer Steve Fryer, and it's a big week in basketball, boys and girls. Boys are going to be in the quarterfinals starting in earnest on Tuesday. We got the girls' quarterfinals on Wednesday, and then, of course, later in this week, only the semifinals, Steve. The playoffs are really starting to be very intense, a lot of big games out there. But
yes,
in boys basketball, there's a new number one team this week in Orange County, but it's a familiar team. Mater Dei is back to number one. What did you see? You saw them in person in an 88-61 victory against Crean Lutheran. That was, I believe, the second round of the Division I playoffs on Friday. You must have been impressed because the Monarchs are number one again.
yeah, they just dominated Korean Lutheran, which is a very good team. And so I was looking at it and I was trying to think, okay, now which team out there could do that to Korean Lutheran, which that domination that I saw. And I Pacific Christian, which was number one, very good team. I don't think they beat Korean Lutheran like that. I don't think number two, Jay Sarek could do that. So I had to figure Mater Dei looked like the best. That's the best I've seen a team play this year, was that Mater Dei win over Korean Lutheran. So they're the best team in the county right now. So I had to put them at number one. That's how they got back to their usual spot.
And you saw a record-setting 3-point performance as well, right?
Yeah, Owen Verna hit 9 of them. And he tied a record set by the likes of Clay McKnight, who's coach's son, who's a heck of a 3-point shooter. A couple other guys, a guy named Miles Simon, who played pretty well at Mater Dei and that University of Arizona, NCAA tournament MVP guy, and then played in Europe for a long, and then, coached the Lakers. He's coached the South Bay Lakers now, et cetera. So there's Miles. And so it was a heck of a shooting thing. I think he made like his first 5 or 6 or 7 in a row, whatever it was. It was just nuts. And he was shooting, some set shots, some jumping threes, some, fall away, some from just right behind the arc, some from 5 feet behind the arc. And the guy was just like unconscious. And man, he was just feeling it. When it left his hands, it just looked like it was going to go in every gosh darn time.
Speaking of 9 3-pointers in a game, Edison also had a player hit 9 threes in the playoffs against Villa Park. That was Kaz Hampton, junior shooting guard, who I got to check out and saw a really very good game. Edison and Orange Lutheran went right down to the wire, 1-point victory for the Lancers. But back to Mater Dei. They take on the road in the quarterfinals on Tuesday against Heritage Christian out of the Northridge area. Interesting enough, Monarchs and Heritage Christian do have some history. Monarchs defeated Heritage Christian 65-56, I believe it was, earlier this season in mid-December. What do you think? What do you know about this matchup?
Mater Dei's playing better now than they were in December and in much of January when I saw them play. When I saw them lose to Santa Margarita, for example, they just look like a different team. I don't know what happened. I think, Brennan Martinson is a freshman, and he's getting it together, playing with more authority like freshmen, kids will do. He's gotten better. Zach Davidson is still probably the best player on that team. They got shooters. Luke Barnett, freshman, he can gun it. Verna, he can gun it. So guys you really couldn't rely on to shoot outside with regularity and with consistent success. Now it's happening.
Okay. Now a couple other big games. I think you're probably got you're definitely got your radar on coming up on Tuesday. Also in Division I, this is a really good matchup. Jay Sarah out of that tough Trinity League taking on Canyon. Comanche is going to be at home where they are difficult to play. What do you think about this Division I quarterfinal?
Love it. In fact, I'll be at that game.
Okay.
Jay Sarah's got 2 dynamite players, Aiden Fowler, a really good shooter, and Sebastian Rancic, who is a forward, and he's a big scorer, great rebounding guy. He's terrific basketball player. Both those guys are really good. And so Canyon's been down with injuries, but they've got Brandon Benjamin, who is one of the first names you're going to mention when you talk about the player of the year in Orange County. And Brandon Benjamin scored 27 points last week. And he can, anything from 5 feet in, he's going to make. He's 6'3", 6'3" or 6'4", and he plays like he's 6'9". Very strange, sophomore in terms of he knows how to use his arms to protect the ball. The backboard is his friend and an ally. The rim is his friend and ally when he goes up for shots. It's really strange how smart this and clever he is for his age in terms of, getting the ball up and off the glass and putting it in. It's just uncanny. Unless you see him play, it's kind of hard for me to describe what he's doing out there, but he is a clever player. And Nate Harrison, he's been our coach of the year in the past. And man, he's a candidate for coach of the year again. I don't it's probably been 9 years or whatever that Nate Harrison was our coach of the year, but I don't know if anybody's doing a better job than him, and maybe Keith Wilkinson over at J. Sarah. And the way he's got him playing right now, Coach McKnight, we got some candidates. Steve Garrett at Tesoro. Woo, yeah. There's some good coaches out, good coaching going on out there, man. Lots of good guys. Barrakoff over at Pacifica Christian, Murphy at Sonora.
Yeah, speaking of those guys, those two teams right there, Division 2A, that's a really good quarterfinal on Tuesday. Sonora at Pacifica Christian. Sonora's beat Ayala and Agura to open up the playoffs. And Pacifica Christian's coming off an impressive road win, 20 points over Dana Hills. What do you think about this matchup?
I'm picking because they're a Christian to win. They're, just such a good team, a deep team with lots of guys, Parker Strauss, etc. The Simon kid can score in various ways. Sonora's got Yoda Oki, who's really a fine player. And both teams are really well coached. It's going to be a tough game, but Pacifica Christian in their gym is pretty good. I saw them beat Fairmont Prep in their gym. That's a tiny gym. That place is going to be nuts. And Pacifica Christian plays really good in that gym. So I go with Pacifica Christian to win that one.
All right. Now, speaking of interesting sophomores, I got to ask you your opinion on sophomore point guard Zion Peleo at Orange Lutheran. Talked to him a little bit after the game. He played junior varsity last year, and now he is running the point with a really good Lancers team, and he's got some pretty good size. He is very quick, gets to the basket, makes his three throws, had a very scrappy play to help the Lancers win late in that game against Edison with a steal in the backcourt after he had gotten his shot blocked. But what do you think of this fellow Zion? Because I think he's got to be one of the most improved players in Orange County. If you're playing JV and now you're the starting point guard at Orange Lutheran, and scoring 20 points in a playoff game.
Yeah, those Peleo boys are pretty good. Let me tell you, there's also Travis Peleo over at Foothill, who's also a dynamite player. But he's got some good guys that he can pass the ball to. Zion does as a sophomore. Cannon Potter hit some clutch shots for him. It's a pretty good team. Gazaniga is a rebound machine.
Gazaniga.
I'm glad you did the pronunciation for me. I appreciate you.
Well, I can tell you why.
I'm in the spelling business, man. I can't do all these things.
Well, I know Gazaniga. I have an advantage with the Gazaniga because I cover his the water polo Gazaniga at Foothill girls water polo. She's outstanding. I'm pretty familiar with the Gazanigas. There's even a cousin I believe is playing some basketball at St. Margaret's girls.
Yeah, the Gazaniga boy over there at Olu, he gets some rebounds for him. He's a pretty good player, but that's a pretty good team, that Orange Lutheran team. Zion's their best player.
All right. Anything else you're on your radar for the quarterfinals, sir?
Sage Hills is coming on. Carter Bryant, a candidate for Player of the Year, all county guy. He's doing really well for them. So I look forward see how well Sage Hill does. Loera has come in and beaten some teams, and they got to the quarters in one of the Division 5. So they're pretty good there too. I tell you, a game I'm looking forward to covering this week, Dan, is in your side of things. I'm going to be covering Rosary against Esperanza. I've seen Rosary play. Maya Barnes is really good, and Clark is tough as nails too. But I think we got Rosary's 3 in the county and Esperanza's 5. Tell me what I'm going to see when I get out there. What's going?
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty interesting game because I think both teams are pretty committed to defense, and there's some really good athletes. I mean, you mentioned, I think, Allison Clark is a junior. She can really fill it up, has a really good jump shot, and in addition to a 3-point shot, she's pretty dynamic. And then you have Esperanza senior, Kai Mack. Is very good, leading the all-time leading scorer now at Esperanza. She's an underrated player. She's fast. She can get to the basket as well. She can cause a lot of trouble. She's a big-time scorer. Not getting very highly recruited. Coach Valverde would like to think she deserves some more recruiting, but this can be a very interesting game. You got, Rosary is the #1 seed in Division I, so they're the favorite. But the last times these teams played in Division I, in June of 2021, it was a Division I semifinal at Esperanza, and the Aztecs came away with the victory. So I'm sure a couple of those players from both there's players that remember that game from both sides. So you'll see a pretty good game. Esperanza coming off a narrow win over Poly. And I think
in the open division, I wanted to ask you about this. I mentioned modern day boys are better now than they were in December and January and everything like that. So modern day girls in the open division, they beat Windward, right? Yes, and now they're playing Santiago Corona. It's a modern day home game, but they lost to Santiago by 5 points. I think it was back in December. Is that indicative of how both teams are now, or was that not a true test of what we're going to see?
Yeah, Modern Day was not full strength at that time, and but Santiago is a very solid team. So it's Modern Day is going to have to be focused, but I think the Monarchs should be able to win this game. But yeah, that first early season they weren't quite full strength, and I also think that injury list. I don't think Kevin Kiernan was at the game either, as he was making his medical recovery from the hip injury. And when you have the all-time leading coaching leader in state of California, it's good that he's the Monarchs need him on the sideline as well. They have a very good coaching staff as well. But yeah, in Modern Day is on the roll. So this is a big one to win if they can get it, because if they win this, it looks like in the open division they would be closing out pool play on Saturday at Edawanda, the #2 seed. So that would be for a trip to get to the open division final. And also in pool play on Wednesday, Sage Hill is going to be at home against Bishop of Montgomery, who they've beaten earlier in the season in a close game. But that's going to be a big one for the Lightning. They're at home, and if they can win that one, they would be in the open division, basically the semifinals on Saturday night at Sierra Canyon. Juju Watkins, USC commit, Trailblazers undefeated, very highly ranked nationally. So, hey, could it be that? But if Modern Day and Sage Hill both get to the basically the open division semis on Saturday night, it certainly would be something if they could get one or two of them could win, but they'll be the heavy underdogs against the top 2 seeds in Sierra Canyon and Edawanda. But hey, you never know. I liked what Kerwin Walters said to me on Saturday on over the weekend. I think it was Saturday night. Sage Hill beat Ontario Christian. He said, "Hey, we're not putting any ceiling on our team, and they're still trying to push it and get better, and and see where they can take this thing, because they are roughly, they're starting 4 juniors, Steve, and 1 freshman. So Sage Hill still got a lot of growing to do, and still improving quite a bit."
Those open division and Division I championship games are at?
Yes, the Honda Center.
Yeah, so these kids could be playing in that big arena there. So, but before we get that far, we got this week to worry about, Dan. We got quarterfinals and semifinals in boys and girls basketball, and Dan will be in the gyms and I'll be in the gyms, and we're going to have a lot of cool coverage here at OCVarsity. So thanks again for joining us. All the best from Dan and I. We'll see you courtside.